Hello and welcome to the KC podcast. I'm your host, Keenan Costain, and joining me today is a good friend of mine who I've been friends with for many, many years, Mr. Ryan Clark. How are you today, Mr. Ryan?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm happy to be here.
Thanks for being on, and thanks for being on the show. And let's just jump right into it.
All right.
So, what is your experience like at college at UNC Chapel Hill? Really good school and really good history there. So, what's it like?
Well, I am currently a sophomore, and I spent probably like 80% of my freshman year on campus, but because of COVID, I've basically been home ever since then. But from the time I was there, it was really fun. I made a few new, pretty good friends while I was there. I mean, it was different adjusting. I mean, I was on my own, doing my laundry by myself all the time, having to come up with food, but I mean, it was fun. I'm also a really big sports fan, so I enjoyed going to literally every basketball and football game possible, which I did. So, I mean, I enjoyed it, yes. I'm looking forward to going back whenever COVID is over with. So.
Yeah. Is there any fun moments you've had at UNC Chapel Hill despite the history of sports and stuff? So,
Like my favorite moment?
yeah, any moments that you've enjoyed so far since you're still a sophomore there. So tell me about that.
Well, I think my favorite moment would have to be probably one of the first weeks when I was there. Actually, it was more in Charlotte because UNC played South Carolina at the Panther Stadium in Charlotte. But it was Mac Brown's first game back as head coach, and they won, and it was pretty exciting. So I went there with a friend of mine, and we had a really good time.
Yeah, Mac Brown coached the UNC Tar- for many, many years, and I've heard some good things about him. And so the next question I have for you is, what has college been like despite the COVID-19 pandemic going on in the year 2020?
Well, in March we got sent home, and then never came back, obviously, and we moved all online. I mean, it was hard at first. I mean, there was technical difficulties, especially with my older professors who weren't very. I mean, they were kind of technically challenged, which I mean was unexpected, but they got better at it. I still kept up my grades and worked hard, but I mean, it was kind of hard to sometimes study as hard as I was at school. And then I also took classes over the summer, so by now I'm like pretty used to the online format. I mean, it's going to be weird when I go back and it's in person.
Yeah. Do you prefer the online or being on campus with everyone else?
I mean, I definitely prefer to be there and with my friends, but the one good thing about online is some professors allowing us to use notes on tests, so it makes it a lot
Yeah,
easier.
yeah, that's me. That's me as well. I'm doing broadcasting classes right now. I get to use notes and stuff, and it's a really good thing to go by. So
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier.
yeah, but but I heard that you've been a musician for many many years. So how long have you been playing the instrument, which being the guitar, and tell me more about your start and the experience you have.
I struggle to come up with the exact date, but I'm pretty sure I was in first grade, I think, when I first told my dad I wanted to play guitar. And then I remember getting my first guitar that Christmas that year. And then I started taking lessons and then took lessons for many years. I played in bands, rock shops that got me into playing in bands. And so I mean, it's been over a decade for sure, probably more like 11 or 12 years.
Yeah, it's about the same. We're about the same time frame actually, because I started in February, and you probably started maybe a month
Probably
before
the fall before.
the fall before, or maybe like a month before I did, before I started. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, tell me more about the rock shop and what that is, and how do you get involved in that?
Well, the first person I was taking guitar with, I can't remember exactly why, but we stopped taking lessons with him. I think he got another job and was doing that. So then we were looking for a new place to look for lessons, and we found this place called Streetwise Music in
Hmm.
Indian Trail, and they had this program called they called it Rock Shop, and it's basically where the Streetwise puts together a group of kids for a band. I mean, you have singer, drummer, and obviously guitarist, bassist, and you practice once a week for like 3 months and learn about 5 or 6 songs. Then you perform. Uh, the first time I did it, I performed at Amos's South End, which is a pretty big bar in Charlotte. So I mean, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, what was what's the proudest moment you've had as a guitar player so far in your journey?
Um, well, the coolest moment, I guess, would probably be the 2 times I think I played where I've been paid. One time was actually with you, as you know, where we played in downtown Monroe,
Right, right.
and we made a little bit of money. But then I also played with another band at Amos's again. This time we got paid, and I think I made $50, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, was that Amos gig actually recently, or was it a long time ago?
That was uh, probably it was the spring of 2019, so it's been a year and a half. But
Yeah,
yeah,
but
that was cool.
so who has been your biggest influences with guitar, and what did you listen to in the early years of music, or even now, and whatnot?
Well, the first time I heard my dad play Van Halen in the car, and then later on at home, that was when I really got like starstruck and was like, wow, that sounds so cool. I want to be able to do that. Obviously, it took years before I could actually even sound remotely like Eddie Van Halen,
Yeah,
although nobody can sound like he was.
yeah, nobody can, and his passing just recently actually has been really devastating to the music community, and played a big role in me as well as a guitar player myself, and I've heard you play a lot of Van Halen stuff over the years, and I'm like, man, that's really really great.
Yeah, I mean, when he passed, I guess I don't know if it's been 2 weeks yet, but it's been
Yeah, it's
close.
about
And
2.5 weeks, I would
I
say.
don't think I've stopped listening to Van Halen since. I mean, I've always listened to them, but I mean, ever since then, listening to Van Halen's been different. That's probably the most affected I've ever been by a death that I didn't actually know the guy personally. Because I mean, I've listened to him all my life, and he was the reason I started playing. So yeah, it was sad.
But is there any other any other big influences with guitar, and what else did you listen to, or with music?
Well, I mean, I'm a huge 70s, 80s, 90s, those three decades for rock. I mean, I've recently, in the past 2 years, I've really learned to appreciate the 90s grunge era, especially Alice in Chains, Nirvana, and Soundgarden, and Pearl Jam. I've really grown. I mean, I've always kind of liked them, but recently I've really grown to like them a lot. And I guess even though they're kind of 90s but more modern, Foo Fighters is probably one of my favorite bands. I love Dave Grohl. I think he's a awesome guy and he's a great musician. I love listening to him also.
Yeah, it's just really they're really great bands like the Foo Fighters. You got Alice in Chains is good. Nirvana is really good. Kurt Cobain, which comes to mind with Nirvana and
Yeah,
whatnot.
Dave Grohl's in that too,
And Dave Grohl
the drummer.
was the drummer of that, and Foo Fighters. He was the lead singer, which being Dave Grohl. So,
Yep.
but 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 is there any fun moments or any funny moments happen playing music wise or?
Well, for fun, I definitely have to say that show I played at Amos's where I was paid was really fun because it was one of the larger crowds I played in front of, and I mean it was just fun because we sounded really good that night. Also, actually, another fun thing was when this was like I think I was in fourth grade. Actually, I had to wake up at like 5 a.m. and go to the Streetwise place because they had us play on the morning news that night. So technically, I was playing in front of a few thousand people that was watching the morning news that night.
Yeah, I don't think I never knew that story. Can you try to elaborate on that or?
Yeah, I mean, it was the Charlotte local morning news. A guy, I forget his last name, but he has a segment. I think he still does it now. It's called Wilson's World, where he goes and around Charlotte and finds cool little things about Charlotte and broadcasts them early in the morning. And the owner of Streetwise knew him
Yeah.
and got it set up, and we played a few songs. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it was that 6:30 a.m.
Yeah,
news segment. Yeah, I remember that now.
yeah. But I had to wake up at 5 a.m. That was the earliest I'd ever woken up at that point.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and you got some TV recognition in there, I would
Yeah,
say.
yep. And missed a little bit of school because it was a school day.
I bet that was a fun thing to go on and miss a few hours of school. I
Yeah,
bet.
it was. It was cool.
Um, I so you're currently in a band right now, which being the Soundbars, is that right?
I mean, I guess technically, but we haven't played in a long time.
Yeah.
So
Oh, it's only been what, July of 2019, the last time that
yeah, last
we
summer.
played, so it hasn't been that long. But
Yeah.
you're you're so if I'm not mistaken, you're the guitar player, correct?
Yes. I mean, it comes and goes with when we play. I mean, I'm sure we would have done something this past year, but COVID ruined that,
Yeah.
like it's ruined about everything. But I mean, there's still probably plenty of opportunities at some point.
Yeah, and yeah, I for sure. Is there any favorite Soundbars moments you've done because since it's been a few years?
Well, I mean, it was really fun when we were just practicing in Ryan Wolverton's room. I mean,
Yeah.
because we were just joking around, practicing for a while. But I mean, that first performance we had, where I said earlier, where we got paid downtown Monroe, that was pretty cool. The crowd came and go. I mean, 10 or 15 people were watching at a time, but kept moving along. So we played it in front of a lot of people. It was
Yeah.
fun.
And shout out to Ryan Roach if he's listening to this podcast. And I actually had him on
And Chase?
and Chase as well, and yeah, it's just really interesting to hear about. So, is there any advice for would you give anyone that is listening right now or anything?
I mean, I guess just live life to the fullest. I mean, I've been playing music and all my life, and that's what I love, and I enjoy it, so I've continued it. I also work hard and pursue your dreams. I go to UNC. I'm studying biology and exercise sports science, double major, but I'm hoping to be a pharmacist, which is it's a lot of hard work. I work late into the nights, as you know. I joke I got homework,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, I mean, just work hard and do what you want and make happy. That's the best
Yeah.
advice I live by.
Is there speaking of that, uh, is what do you like about the programs over there with the medical stuff and the pharmacist stuff? I don't remember what the exact word is, but like what's it like doing that kind of stuff? Is it difficult? Is it hard? Is it like how would you explain that?
Well, I'm technically not doing anything pharmacy yet because that's a graduate program. So once I finish at UNC, I'll have to go to I think it's 3 years more somewhere else, hopefully at UNC because they actually have the #1 pharmacy school in the nation. So that would be awesome if I got to go there. But if not, I'll go somewhere else. But I mean, to answer your question, the biology major, I mean, it's hard. I have to take a lot of obviously biology classes and chemistry and eventually physics. So I mean, it's a lot of science. It's hard.
Yeah, I imagine. Oh, in this part of the podcast, actually, you are free to able to ask me any question you can think of, and just and you can go ahead and ask me a question. So
You want me to ask you a question?
sure, yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know I was going to do this, but let's see. I mean, I guess I could ask the same thing for you. I mean, what's your favorite moment with music, guitar?
I just probably what really helped is the soundbar stuff. Because that was like a legit thing, and we were able to go out and perform and to back up on that actually some of the I did some talent shows back in high school with
Yeah, I remember
with
those.
many types of groups of bands. I did it for 3 out of the 4 years I was a part of that, and but out of those three, I would say probably my senior year and probably the most interesting one probably has to be the first one I was in, which was my sophomore year. I was like, I was a sophomore, and the rest of the band all seniors, which was insane. So,
Mm-hmm.
but to be more specific, definitely the soundboard stuff, and me being the lead singer of the band, we get to cover many types of classic rock songs and all that, and so, but with the favorite show we've done is, I would have to say, the very first one we ever done, because we
In Monroe.
in Monroe back in
Of
2016.
course, you know the date.
Yeah, I probably know the exact date. I would have to say it's probably
It was June something.
it was probably back in August, actually, because
Oh, was it?
it was before I went to South Piedmont to start over there, but I remember taking so much time. I remember talking to Ryan Wilson about this in one of the previous podcasts. I remember staying up from like practicing starting at 8, and I practiced maybe until 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
2 to 3 days prior, and I being so exhausted the next day, and just getting the tracks going over and over and over again just to make sure I got it. So that was a lot of fun, and hopefully we'll get to do some more down the road. And if you're down, I mean, it would be fantastic.
Yeah. I got another question. I thought of while you're talking.
Yeah.
So I know you want to do something with either broadcast and journalism type stuff. So what made you want to do that?
That's a good question. I think I love sports, as you know. I'm a huge NASCAR stock car racing fan. I thought about becoming a broadcaster. Maybe I would say near the beginning of my college career, but it just took me a while to make sure I wanted to do it and stuff. So, but I think it's something that interests me for sure, and I'm still pursuing it, and I'm still thinking about it as I go along. But me doing this podcast, like I'm doing with you right now, is definitely good practice. But that's a great question, actually. I really want to get into NASCAR someday. Probably work in the sport. For me, I would bring a lot of energy announcing something or reporting something or whatnot. So, but the main goal I had in mind is becoming a NASCAR uh, in color commentator, like a main guy
Mm-hmm.
who calls races and stuff along with other people and working with others and getting the information and seeing what's happening on the racetrack and whatnot, and just calling the action. So that's a great point.
So I don't, as you know, I don't really watch NASCAR, so I can't name a specific name. But is there some NASCAR broadcaster that's your favorite, or do you prefer an NBA one or something?
The first one that comes to mind is probably Mike Joy, who works for Fox Sports.
Is that racing?
For racing,
Mm.
yep. And probably one more when it comes to racing, I would say Alan Bestwick and Rick Allen is probably one of my top three, I would say, up there. But when it comes to sports, I would say Eric Collins, the Hornets announcer, and Steve Martin, and those guys, they really...
Not Mike Green?
Mike Green is good as bang! But Mike Green is but Mike Green is a good one as well. It would be really fun to do something like that. Just bringing energy, and even though it takes a lot of reporting, a lot of writing, things will get better over time if you just work at it, like you said, and in your advice question that I've asked you. But
Yeah.
just hopefully things work out, and I believe it will. For the best. And
As long as you work hard. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. Just keep at it. So, well, Ryan, that's all the questions I have for you today.
All right.
You're more than welcome to come back on the show at some point in time. You can join in on another guest episode, and it was great to have you on. And thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.